Greetings, humans. I'm Andre, and this is Couscous. And that's Aliki, replacing my usual co-host with a much, much better one. So, the reason why Aliki is here with us today is because we're gonna be listening to Aliki, or rather to Eight Lives Down, new album, Fates. And we're gonna be listening to the whole album and analyzing everything that's going on and seeing the lyrics. I have only heard the singles that we reacted to on the channel. I haven't heard any of the other songs. We're gonna go through everything, including the singles. So we're starting with Void, and we're also gonna have the lyrics on, so we see what level of weirdness is going on in there. Are you ready?
Yes.
Situation is just never getting better, and they're talking about progress and they're talking about faith. They talk about helping and they talk about family, talk about their mental health and talk about money. They talk about disorders and they talk about trauma, talk about equality and talk about their needs. They talk about identity and talk about desire, and where the fuck does that leave me? Strong up high when the ground gives way. Where do I stand? Cut down the narrator of all this crush all our hopes and illusions as the ground goes its separate way. I'll stand void. It's never ending. We pretend it's going well. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone will use their voice. Everyone is now an expert. Everyone is misinformed. Everyone believes they're right. Everyone's a scout light. Everyone is now offended. Everyone just hides away. Everyone lives in a bubble. Everyone is in a cage. Everyone's in a soliloquy. There is no problem solving. Time is just dissolving. Stupidity's evolving. Dilemmas are revolving. And where the fuck does that leave me? Strong up high when the ground gives way. Where do I stand? narrator of all this build-up our hopes and illusions as the ground goes its separate way. We stand void. Cut down the narrator of all this, crush all our hopes and illusions as the ground goes its separate way. I'll stand void. Yay.
Okay. Wow. I love this song. It's much better the second time around already. Well, second. I've listened to it a number of times since I first heard it. So, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
First thing I want to talk about, the marching. How did
Yes.
that happen? Was it your initiative? Was it the marching's initiative? Whose initiative was that bass section?
Ooh. do I remember who started it? I don't know if I remember who started it. I think it was Marcin. I think it was Marcin, and I think there were like long conversations around it where Paul was like, "What do we do? And how do we build it up? And how do we make it heavier?" And we're like, "Really simple. We're gonna repeat it." And then it's going to be heavy. And he was like, okay, sure. So, yay.
Well, that works. If you take something and repeat it, then while it's building, the person listening also learns it. So by the time it gets heavy, they don't have to also take in a new riff or a new melodic line. They just take the impact.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Okay, let's talk about the lyrics.
Yeah.
So you have this all, they talk about helping, they talk about family, they talk about mental health, they talk about all sorts of important topics, but the conversation isn't working, it seems, because it's like, and where the fuck does that leave me? So what did you mean with this differentiation of like, okay, we talk about the important things, but it feels like I'm out of the conversation?
Well, I think that human beings have a tendency to think that because they're talking about something important, that what they are saying is important. They equate these two things, which is not true. Then the second thing is that once someone has decided that a subject is important, they ultimately externalize the significance. So they're basically saying objectively this thing is important. So whether it relates to you or whether I make it relevant to you doesn't matter, because this is important, therefore you should care. And it does impact you. And it's like, does it? If you've literally disconnected it from me and from everything else?
Yeah, I feel like that's also a, I guess, manipulative tactic to try and get someone to participate in something you're invested in, is to try to convince them that it also concerns them. Yes. And it's a tricky thing to figure out, because sometimes there are also situations that do concern people and they're in denial about it or don't realize that.
Oh yeah. I mean, most people don't understand how things impact them. Politics is probably the best example.
I don't realize how politics impacts me. I realize the immediate effect of how, I realize the immediate negative effect that observing politics all the time has on me. And I have a strong awareness of needing my space away from it.
Oh yeah.
But trying to figure out and navigate it is one of the most complex things for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Cut down the narrator of all this, crush all our hopes and delusions. As the ground goes its separate way, I'll stand void. I really don't know how to interpret this, so I'm just gonna go, what the hell? Tell me what that is.
Oh, okay, so let's see. I find Void a difficult song to articulate around. I think it manages to capture its own chaos and its own confusion and existential problems and crises, but then adding to it is like words. So
Okay, let me put this question on that then.
Yeah.
Who's the narrator? Abstract or concrete?
Both. Both.
Okay.
All. It's an all-encompassing statement.
Uh-huh. So essentially just a criticism of narratives.
Not even the criticism of narratives. So more like a process of elimination and exclusion to see what's left in its wake. So let's say if we remove the narratives and then we also remove the illusions that we hold, or delusions, however you feel about them, including any desires to shift things in whatever direction. So remove the hopes and the illusions. As the ground goes its separate way is like a layer of commentary that if you remove the narrative, the desires, and any expectations, hopes, whatever, you have removed facts and context. So, like, it's lovely what you're doing, but what you're doing is ultimately destructive and pointless and doesn't help in this process. And again, it's the left with nothing. So it's this idea of within the noise, you have, where the fuck does that leave me? It's like, what the hell do I do? Then it's, okay, well, what if all this crumbled? So you're pre-chorus. So you're strung up high when the ground gives way. Where do I stand? Again, this idea of what the hell do I do and what can be done? And then if I remove this and try and do a process of exclusion, it's like it's the same shit as listening to all the noise. So again, just paralyzed. Hi!
Okay. Verse 2. I feel like verse 2 is essentially reiterating the same point from verse 1, but in different words.
Yeah.
So then I suppose we can maybe just gloss over it.
Yeah,
and
I
go
would.
to the change in the choice of words in the last chorus. Stomp down the narrator, build up our hope and delusions.
Yeah.
What does this switch represent?
So the switch is picking and choosing which narratives to ignore, which ideas to get rid of, which ideas to hold on to. And within that process, hoping that we can find common ground and understand that we are all equally confused and stupid and uninformed.
So basically the background on which I'm hoping to be able to have any relevant conversation with anyone.
Yes.
That is so good. I love that. That is great. Okay.
Not the most optimistic outlook, but hey.
I actually think it's an optimistic outlook because I guess humans, both on a smaller context or on a global scale, have achieved quite a lot of things. So if we've managed to do that while being this bloody stupid, then bringing our awareness of our stupidity into it means we can probably do even better. And there's actually a saying in Romanian that it goes something like un prost care și-a dat seama că-i prost a avut o sclipire de geniu. What it means is a stupid person who realized they're stupid has had a spark of genius. My greatest awareness in life is that I am, in fact, in many ways, stupid.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Think about my own stupidity constantly on a daily basis. I suffer from it.
It's great.
Yeah.
What is life if not suffering and many other things?
Yeah, I mean, I think it falls under that category of, maybe this isn't the prettiest thing to say to humans, but it's a little bit like saying that we're all going to die. Like, superficially, it doesn't look positive, but it's not negative. It's just a neutral event and it's fine. If you can breathe through it, it's a good starting point to have an honest conversation about reality.
Whenever I think about the existential dread of death, I then try to counterbalance that with the existential dread of what it would be like if there was no death. Doesn't really seem like one option is better than the other.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think the suggestion in any capacity for absence of death is the primary emotional reason why I am not religious.
Really?
Yeah. Like the thought of, oh, there's heaven or hell or whatever, and then you get to be with your family or you get to be with your friends. It's like, I love them all, but no thank you. I'll die. I'll take that one.
There's always the windmill. The windmill is just the abyss. Okay, so that was Void. I think here we're gonna stop the recording to make sure everything goes well. And if it does, then we move on to Dog's Breakfast. And to everyone watching, if you enjoyed this and if you think I should fire my brother from the windmill, do let me know in the comments. And thank you very much for stopping by. And we hope to see you back at the windmill very soon.